What's going on, you guys? This is Ron, and this is your second stimulus check update and second stimulus package update for Tuesday, November 10th. I hope you guys are doing very well today. I've got several updates that I want to provide to you guys, including updates on your second stimulus check and possibly even your third stimulus check, all depending upon what happens when President-elect Joe Biden enters the office, Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi. And of course, I'm going to provide you guys with updates on the presidential, House, and Senate elections and how those outcomes will directly impact the amount and speed that we received the next round of stimulus checks to the American people, and also the size of the reinstatement of the federal unemployment insurance benefits to the American people. And thousands of additional dollars are expected to be paid out to Social Security recipients and beneficiaries of SSI, SSDI recipients. And so, of course, I'll be sharing all of these details with you guys. So make sure you watch this video until the very end so that you don't miss out on any of these news updates. Now, for those of you guys who are brand new to the channel, my name is Ron. We cover all things personal finance, investing, and of course, stimulus checks and stimulus package updates. So if you haven't already, definitely hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell so that you know as soon as I release new videos and content. And it does take me a while to put these videos together for you. So if you don't mind, please hit the like button. It definitely helps out the channel. And of course, if you haven't already, definitely check out the Financial Freedom Program. It will be officially launching on November 14th. So that is just 4 days away. You can take full advantage of the 50% off discount that is currently still running. But anyway, guys, let's jump into the content. With only 71 days until the presidential inauguration date, President-elect Joe Biden as well as Vice President-elect Kamala Harris are moving forward with their transition into the White House. And this is happening despite the fact that the Trump administration is refusing to take the necessary steps to ensure a very smooth transfer of power. According to the law, the Biden-Harris transition teams are not allowed to meet with the current officials within the government or access secure facilities with access to classified information before the head of the General Services Administration, also known as the GSA, determines that these two individuals are likely to be the next president and vice president. It's kind of weird to discover this because I kind of thought that this was already determined. But apparently the GSA administration has declined to make this determination. It's been said that we believe that the time has come for the GSA administrator to promptly ascertain Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as president-elect and vice president-elect. Personally, leading up to this, I felt like if President Trump did not win this election, this would probably not be a very smooth transition, and it looks like that's probably not going to be the case. They went on to say, adding that the transition could pursue legal options if the administration continues to stall. President Trump has refused to concede the election since Mr. Biden was projected to be the winner on Saturday, and his campaign is pursuing lawsuits in a handful of states challenging the results. The campaign has not produced evidence of widespread voter fraud on a scale that would change the election results. So apparently what they're saying is that in the event that there is even some degree of voter fraud, there's not enough voter fraud that would actually impact the outcome of the election. So it's kind of like, okay, what's going on here? You guys are just kind of wasting time. But in spite of that, Attorney General William Barr authorized U.S. attorneys across the country to pursue substantial allegations of voter or voting irregularities before the 2020 election is certified. Now, at the same time, Barr offered no evidence of fraud stemming from last week's election in the document. Now, of course, this delay in transition of power is definitely impacting the negotiation process for the next round of stimulus checks for the American people. In fact, the longer that this process is dragged out, the longer it's going to take for the American people to receive their second round of stimulus checks. And President-elect Joe Biden has made it very clear that passing another round of stimulus checks for the American people and passing a very substantial stimulus package is a priority for him as soon as he enters the office. So essentially, the longer it takes for President-elect Biden to actually get into the office and actually officially assume the presidential role, the longer it's going to take for the second round of stimulus checks. And I've got a question for you guys. I mean, I know you guys are tired of waiting for the second round of stimulus checks, but based on what we're seeing here, it says that Barr offered no evidence of fraud stemming from last week's election in the document. Now, again, William Barr is the Attorney General, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Do you guys think that President Trump should just say, hey, all right, I got to take the L. I lost this election, and just kind of step aside and let President-elect and Kamala Harris go ahead and take office? Or do you guys believe that President Trump and actually the entire Trump administration has a legitimate reason for investigating into the potential voter fraud, or are they just stalling and wasting time? I would love to hear from you guys. I'd like to quickly touch base on the Senate election progress. It looks like this is still a tie here, sitting with the Democrats at 48 votes and the Republicans at 48. There are 4 positions still outstanding, so this really could go either way here. It's just too close to tell at this point whether or not the Democrats or the Republicans are actually going to be the majority within the Senate going into 2021. Now let's take a quick look at the House election results. Now these are the live results. Currently the Democrats are up 218 versus the Republicans 201. It actually just ticked up 1 point for the Republicans. Now with 16 seats outstanding, we can see here, even if the Republicans took all 16 seats, that would give them a minority position within the House. Now, of course, if the Republicans did get those 16 seats, while the Democrats would still maintain a majority position in the House, it's a lot closer head count and the Democrats are no longer like a vast majority member. And if you guys are getting any value out of these videos, definitely share this video on Facebook. I'm pretty sure your friends and family would love to know when they are going to receive their second stimulus check. Now, really quickly, I just wanted to kind of touch base on SSI and SSDI. A lot of people have commented and hit me up with questions about, if you would be eligible for the next round of stimulus checks, the second stimulus check, if you receive SSI and SSDI. So, I just wanted to kind of read this paragraph here to you because it pretty much explains that. It says, we won't know exactly who will qualify for the second stimulus checks until Congress completes a bill. But based on the proposed bills we've seen so far, we do expect qualifications to remain largely the same as they were in the March CARES Act. That means that those who are part of the SSI SSDI program would qualify for a check as well as they did in the first round. So as long as you have a social security number and you are not claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return, your household income must also not exceed the threshold, which is $75,000 if you're single, and of course $112,500 if you're head of household, and $150,000 if you're married. So that should pretty much answer you guys' questions in terms of, if you would be able to qualify for the second stimulus check if you're on Social Security, SSI, or receiving SSDI. Now, to expand on the topic of Social Security and SSI and SSDI recipients, under the President-elect Joe Biden's plan, those who are actually receiving these benefits would actually benefit tremendously, assuming that President-elect Joe Biden actually pushes this through Congress. Now, it says here that Congress approved direct cash relief, $1,200 per person to help working families through this crisis, but that was a one-off. And of course, we've complained about this a number of times. We haven't received a stimulus check since April. And how do you expect Americans to survive off of $1,200 for the past 8 months? I mean, that's ridiculous, right? So he said, and Congress didn't include direct student loan forgiveness or Social Security boosts for seniors or cost-free treatment for the virus, full paid sick leave for our workers, or sufficient fiscal relief for states. And so basically at this point, Biden is complaining about, and so basically what Biden's doing at this point, he's calling out what Congress did do right, but he's also shouting out what they did wrong and what he's going to be doing differently once he takes office. So let's go into those details really quickly. And because this is for the first time talking about those who are receiving Social Security benefits, SSI beneficiaries, SSDI, what's actually happening for those folks who are on fixed income who have been largely left out. And I get a lot of questions for you guys in the comments. So I just wanted to highlight this. So he did say, number one, first and foremost, I think everybody's going to be happy about this one. He will provide additional checks to families should conditions require. Now, of course, we've seen the spike in virus cases over the last week or two to heights that we've never seen before. So the second round of stimulus checks, or even the third round of stimulus checks, seems like that's just about a guarantee, because he says provide for additional checks to families should conditions require. Conditions are only getting worse right now, so that seems like that box is pretty much being checked. He also said he would forgive a minimum of $10,000 per person for federal student loans as proposed by Senator Warren and colleagues. Young people and other student loan debt holders bore the brunt of the last crisis. It shouldn't happen again. Now, here he's talking about Social Security recipients, and this is where it's getting really juicy for those who are receiving SSI or SSDI. He says increase monthly Social Security checks by $200 per month as proposed by Senator Wyden and colleagues. Seniors and people with disabilities are uniquely at risk right now. Now, again, $200 per month is a big deal. And on top of that, as we saw in the CARES Act, those receiving Social Security, those receiving SSI, SSDI qualify for the first round of $1,200 stimulus checks. We don't see any reason We don't see any legislative wording that would suggest that those receiving SSI, SSDI would not qualify for the second round of stimulus check. So this is very, very good news. And $200 a month, that's like $2,400 a year. So that is a very significant amount of money when you look at it. Now, I definitely wanted to touch base on the economic impact payments as it relates to Social Security recipients, SSI recipients. According to the Social Security Administration, it says that beneficiaries and supplemental security income recipients who already received their $1,200 impact payments now have until November 21st. So that's about 11 days to register for a payment for their spouse or qualifying child. And it advises to visit the IRS non-filer tool to learn more and register for your payments. And so since this deadline in order to receive your stimulus payments for your spouse or perhaps your dependents is running out in about 11 days, I just wanted to offer that quick reminder to you guys who are on SSI and Social Security. Ever since the presidential election passed on November 3rd, President Trump has definitely taken a back seat in terms of, his visibility and, willingness to negotiate with regard to the second round of stimulus checks for the American people. However, I do have some very good news. In fact, Mitch McConnell is actually reportedly taking the lead on stimulus check negotiations as the Trump administration sits this one out. It says here that Congress faces a government shutdown deadline and crucial economic relief negotiations at the moment of extraordinary national security, with Trump refusing to concede the presidential election with the virus cases spiking nationwide. And even before Biden takes office on January 20th, Congress must contend with a December 11th government funding deadline. Failure to reach a deal would result in a government shutdown, and Trump has not signaled whether he would sign a new spending bill. At the same time, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell have both expressed their desire to pass new economic and healthcare relief measures to address the surging virus pandemic, something Congress has not been able to do since the spring. This is very good news, you guys, and this is in exact alignment. It is in parallel with what we've heard said about Senator Mitch McConnell, and that, he's passing another stimulus package with stimulus checks for the American people a priority, and he wants to pass this before the end of the year. It's been a long time since I think any of us have heard Mitch McConnell being interested in passing any type of stimulus. Now, in spite of the fact that President Trump did promise us a big, beautiful stimulus package after the election, it seems as though President-elect Joe Biden will actually officially be taking office on January 20th. And according to what President-elect Joe Biden's plans are with regard to the next stimulus package for the American people, it appears as though President-elect Joe Biden's plan could be very effective, at least in terms of stimulus for the American people. It's been said that Joe Biden's victory in the presidential race will provide a boost to a U.S. economy battered by the virus pandemic, as his bold spending plans and stauncher support for trade and immigration would more than offset the drawbacks of new taxes and regulations, at least according to top economists. Now, whether you're a fan of Joe Biden or President Trump, the good news is that Biden has voiced support for a robust relief measure that includes another federal bonus of weekly unemployment benefits. This is great news for anyone whose unemployment benefits have already run out. More aid for struggling small businesses and financially distressed states, and another round of stimulus checks to most households. Now, of course, at this moment, we're talking about the second round of stimulus checks, but keep in mind that Joe Biden actually discussed a third stimulus check as well. Now, if you guys haven't noticed, I'm paying very close attention to the House election results as well as the Senate election results. And the reason why this is incredibly important is that if Republicans keep control, lawmakers likely would approve a $1.5 trillion stimulus possibly late this year. But if the Democrats wrest control, it's expected that a $2 trillion stimulus package that could match the $600 jobless aid provided to Americans, or at least unemployed Americans, earlier this year instead of the reduced amount. So basically, essentially what we would see is if the Republicans were to take over, there would likely be unemployment insurance benefits reinstated, but at around $300 per week. However, if the Democrats gain control, then the unemployment insurance benefits would likely be reinstated at around $600 per week. So we're literally looking at an additional $1,200 per month if the Democrats are able to take over. That additional $300 per week is almost like getting a $1,200 stimulus check extra every single month. Now, of course, President-elect Joe Biden has been criticized quite a bit about his tax plan. However, Biden plans to raise taxes by about $4 trillion over the next decade. He says that he proposes eliminating loopholes for people earning more than $400,000 a year, subjecting incomes above $400,000 to the 12.5% Social Security payroll tax, and phasing out itemized deductions at incomes over $400,000. So for the most part, the average American, in fact, not even just the average American. And so to be honest with you, this is probably really only impacting the top 1% of income earners in the United States anyway. Not to say that it doesn't matter, but it's less of an impact to the general population is what I'm saying. Now, on the other hand, this next decision could impact a significant portion of the American population, because Biden supports a Democratic proposal in Congress to raise the federal minimum wage from $7.25 per hour to $15 per hour. But anyway, guys, that is all for the stimulus check update and stimulus package update. If you received any value out of this video, I would totally appreciate if you hit the like button if you have not already. And of course, definitely subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you know as soon as I release new information and updates with regard to personal finance, investing, and stimulus checks and stimulus packages. And I will see you guys on